want to thank you for checking out Rhapsody Church. One of the things that we focus in on is the changed life. The message of Jesus Christ, the message of the gospel really is, when you boil it down, it's about a really big God that loves people. He died on a cross. He rose again to change lives. The stories that you're about to hear are folks that come from vastly different backgrounds, have made different choices in their life, but they have one common denominator. It's a really big God that's writing this story out of Ephesians 2:10. For you are God's workmanship. You're His poem. You're His song. You're His story. He's writing the story of their lives. Enjoy this.
I don't know if you know, but I went to rehab when I was 16. I had a very abusive boyfriend, and he led me towards some pretty ugly decisions that I made. I lived like that for a couple years, and then Josh and I started hanging out. We had met in high school, and we started hanging out, and then we got pregnant with Kaden. So I was really at a loss with what to do with the whole situation, and I was contemplating abortion and adoption both at the time.
I was using drugs and alcohol on a daily basis, and to the extent of where I couldn't hardly ever get up off my bed. I could get off my bed long enough to go get more beer or drugs and take my kid to school and pick her up. But on June 6th, this particular morning, I was taking my daughter to school, and I had the same compulsion to not go home, because that was my MO. I would go home, take a nap, get up, go to the store, get beer, go back home, go to bed. But this time I said, oh, heck with it, I'm just going to go to the grocery store.
I really was still dating, seeing women, partying, drinking, and still part of that whole process of the world, living the world. I was just unforgivable. I think that's probably the place that I was, but yet I had this facade that life was great on the outside. I was partying and enjoying life, and at least on the outside. On the inside, I was a death man walking.
I'd have to say truthfully, just looking back on prior to Rhapsody, the overall tone of my life was lost, numb, blind, deaf, just kind of going through the motions. I felt like I was kind of hopelessly searching. I didn't know for what I was searching for. And anxiety was my addiction. Worry, sleeplessness, just how am I going to make it all work?
And we actually lived in Olympia at the time. So we drove down and came to Rhapsody, and after the first sermon, we decided that we would come back the next week and the next week, and we spent some time commuting from Olympia down to Rhapsody to go to church every weekend. So we were a little bit lonely when we came to Rhapsody, just struggling, to find relationships outside of our marriage and outside of our families.
Yeah, posted right at the front door of the grocery store, and he asked me how I was doing, and I said I'm beat. I can't do this anymore. And he told me he had 5 years of clean and sober time. I said, I want that. He said, well, I go to church out at Rhapsody, and he gave me the address, and he said, I'll see you there. And I said, okay, I'll be there.
Well, God put two pinnacle people smack dab in my life that I couldn't ignore the signs anymore. So he introduced me closely to Pastor Brandon, and had Pastor Brandon come and actually be an employee of mine. He introduced me to Joseph Hennessy, and I got the opportunity to work with him and had some really great conversations with him as well about how Rhapsody would really help me. I knew without making a conscious decision that I was going to be a Christian. I knew how I felt every Sunday after I left church. I felt recharged. I felt like pieces of bricks were being taken off of me, that I could breathe a little better. I noticed my relationship with my son was getting better because the less anxiety I had, the less worry I had, the better mom I could be to him. And throughout the course of the Alpha program, I got my questions answered. In December of 2011, asked Jesus to come into my heart, and I took my communion for the first time. And then February 26, 2012, I was baptized.
And then came around, got an invite, I think, to come to Rhapsody and do what we call a critique of the service. It was the launch service. So I said, yeah, I'll come and I'll give some critiquing. I had not felt his presence, God's presence, envelop me for many, many, many months. And I remember during worship, I heard 3 words: will you help?
I've started to just come into who I am and to accept not only my circumstances with being a young parent and with being somebody who had struggled with drug addiction and being somebody who, kind of lost my way for a long time in life. I feel like a large part of that too is because God placed me at Rhapsody and the people there accept me.
I started reading my Bible, and I started reading it more. I started praying and meditating, and slowly but surely, God started moving in my life that I never knew was imaginable. It's now, I have a family, a restoration of family, my personal family, my mother, my niece, my nephew, my sisters, all want me in their life today. And one man's willingness to roll the dice. That morning he was at the grocery store, and just that one ripple effect from that one man rolling, God has impacted 6 other people's lives, not just mine.
I can breathe. I have hope. I'm happy. I'm calm, at ease. I have faith that God has big things planned for me and my son, and that I belong somewhere.
I began to believe again that the latter years of my life will be much greater than the former.